Now that your trunk is properly configured, the next step is to allow both incoming and outgoing calls to pass through it. These call flows are managed using routes. Let's begin with incoming calls by setting up inbound routes. Go to PBX, Call Routing. Inbound routes. The first setting we must choose is the routing method. HAPBX offers two methods, default and DID range. Let's start with the default routing method. Add a description so you can easily identify this inbound route later. With default routing, HAPBX identifies the DID, the phone number the caller dialed, and routes the call to a specific destination. You may enter a DID pattern, so only calls matching this format are routed through this inbound route. Adding a CID, or caller ID pattern, ensures that this inbound route is used only when the call comes from a specific caller ID that matches the defined DID pattern. If both the DID and CID fields are left blank, the inbound route will match any DID and any caller ID. This is commonly known as an any route. The final step in creating an inbound route is selecting the inbound destination. This can be an extension or module that can take the incoming call, such as an IVR, queue, or ring group. For example, I will route the call to the HOIT extension, but you may choose any destination you prefer. Then save and apply the changes. If you followed the extension setup earlier in this course, you may remember assigning an inbound route to the HOIT extension. You can view all created inbound routes using the list in the upper right corner. There are additional tools available for managing inbound calls. We'll explore more later, but here are some other useful inbound route options. Language changes the voice prompt language for calls entering through this route. Music on hold sets which on-hold music for incoming calls through this inbound route. Alert info. This adds a header to calls that pass through this inbound route. The alert info header can then be used to trigger custom ringtones on supported endpoint devices. Drop anonymous calls. Any call without a caller ID is identified as anonymous. With this, you can drop any call that comes without a caller ID. Enable call recording. This option records all calls that pass through this inbound route. Keep in mind that if call recording is activated at multiple points during the call flow, duplicate recordings may be created. Privacy Manager. This feature will ask the caller to enter their caller ID if they don't already have one. Fax Detection. This feature checks whether an incoming call is actually a fax. When enabled, you can adjust the detection time in seconds and choose where fax calls should be routed. Keep in mind that this process introduces a slight delay to incoming calls because the system must listen for fax tones before routing. Once saved, your inbound route is ready. If your HAPBX system is connected to a VoIP trunk, you can test by calling any number associated with the trunk. If everything matches correctly, the call will be routed to your inbound destination. Alternatively, you can use the DID range routing method to handle multiple DIDs at once. For example, if your provider gave you DIDs from 1-305-560-1000 to 1-305-560-1100, you may want each DID to map directly to an extension. To do this, switch the routing method from default to DID range. Enter a DID pattern like 1-305-5601-XXX. The X's in this case represent any digit from 0 to 9. Instead of a single destination, DID range introduces range parameters so HAPBX can map DIDs dynamically. Here, we will establish the digits to take. So, for example, we will take the last 3 digits from our range. Then you can prepend or append digits. Prepend will add digits before the digits we took, and append will add them after. If your extensions are from 3000 to 3100, you may prepend 3. Since we took the last 3 digits from our range, which goes from 000 to 100, we can prepend a 3 so that these numbers match our extension range. For the class of service, you can keep the default option, which grants all permissions. We'll go into more detail about classes of service later. With this setup, any call to any DID in the range will be routed to its matching extension. This way saves you from creating an incoming route for every single extension. Don't forget to save and apply changes.